day 3 of the painting in oils. I had a little play with it. As you can see that the face has got a little bit more tonal development into it. So I've added more white and greys and blacks. I've tried to lower the eyes, the nose and the mouth, but I still haven't done it enough. But I actually quite like how it's going in that position. So the face is slightly a little bit more front on instead of lowered. So I think I'll keep it that way. I'm beginning to find that the paint is actually sticking to the surface again, which is good. So I'd left it for overnight and half a day. So now I can start actually applying a little bit more paint, the darks and lights. And that's why it wasn't working initially, was because I didn't have the tones correctly. And again, I have to stress, it's all about the tone. So you've got to get your blacks, your dark greys, your mid greys, your light greys, and your white. So I'm beginning to enjoy it, which is good, because this is the fun part of the painting when you're just sort of refining it. So again, I want the figure to blend into the background in a paint, it's called painterly, a painterly technique. The difference between clear and non-clear paintings. So painterly, if you, I'm using my phone to record this, but what I will do is just show you the amount of texture which is building up because I've painted over the top of a previous image. And I actually quite like working on textures. I was thinking about sort of even probably using a bit of collage to build this up. I would love to do some spiritual designs in the background, because it's quite a lovely photograph, this one. Whoever the photographer is, he's done a pretty amazing job, I think. Quite beautiful, the image. I'm not saying my painting's beautiful at this stage, but you know, we'll just give it a whirl. So I'm going to stop talking now and put my apron on and get started into doing a few more lights and darks. Yeah, by adding the lights and darks, the figure becomes much more three-dimensional and stands out. So let me know what you're working on. Any of my subscribers, I think I've got 3. So please in the comments, put down what you like, what you don't like. I'm sorry that the videos are so long, like I said. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm just uploading and doing it. And you know, it's quite nice to sort of see a history of your work and how it develops. But if you saw the initial video, this has progressed. And sometimes it will take 2 or 3 days to get to that stage. But I'm beginning to enjoy it, so I'm going to persist with it. So just going to be working all over the place, just start doing some more lights and darks, and away we go. If I can find the glasses. I'm just conscious that I'm not got my silly fat head in the way of the painting so that you can see what I'm doing. It does make it easier if you're actually standing in front of your work and working on it directly, but what's the point of doing the videos if you're demonstrating, you're demonstrating. Well, I've made a big decision. I'm actually going to be going back to school next week. I was actually going to be self-isolating from home, but I think that here in Perth, Western Australia, they're saying that we are safe to go back. Who knows? Who knows? All I know is that we're living in very interesting times. The next couple of years will be very fascinating, I think, to see what's going to happen. And I've talked to my husband about going and hiding in the bush somewhere. But I'm sure it won't come to that. there's all these interesting shadow effects on her arms and body. And some rather reptilian looking makeup. So that's going to be fun to do. I always like a bit of a challenge when I paint. I always trying to get an image that I find I'm learning something from. Because you don't want to actually just do things that you know are going to be easy. Where's the challenge in that? You've got to always be looking for things that are going to expand your craft, so you can learn something more. So I know I'm doing the second projects again in monochrome. It's just it's a different medium. Primarily it was just to get rid of that canvas that had that fairly dreadful self-portrait. It was a self-portrait, if you didn't recognise it. The trick with painting hands. Hands are actually quite large, and a lot of artists do make the mistake of actually not making hands big enough. If you actually put your hand from the bottom of the palm to your fingers, basically it's the same size as your face. So in saying that, if you make them too small, they look like little bird's claws. So I would go err on the side of going bigger, not smaller. a conversation with the husband. We're going to FaceTime our friends tonight. We've been in self-isolation since the 25th of March, which has been a while, and I'm losing track of time. So I think I'm actually really incredibly lucky that I can paint in the time of the coronavirus. It's been a pleasant distraction from what's going on. I feel incredibly sad and sorry for all the human loss and the just the pain that people are going through, the stress that they're going through at the moment, losing jobs and worrying about rent and yeah. I think our government's actually been doing an excellent job with keeping us informed. We've just been through the bushfires here in Australia, which was absolutely devastating for so many people. Thousands of people lost their homes. We had a number of fatalities, including firefighters. It's just horrific, absolutely horrific. And I was pretty scathing about the lack of planning or united front that the government showed initially. But I have to say Scott Morrison's really stepped up during the coronavirus. So Australia's been through quite a bit. Seriously, I think that so many countries have been much harder hit by the coronavirus, and I'm very, very sad for the people who are in England and Spain and America, Europe. Frightening, extremely frightening. I don't want to make the shadows too dominant in this. I think that if I do make them too strong, that it would detract away from the face. You've got to work out in a painting what's going to be the focal point, and in a portrait it's usually the hands and the face and the hands. So I quite like that sort of soft effect. I might darken them slightly, but yeah, I'm quite enjoying doing this, just not sitting in the way, so you can see what I'm doing. It's a fairly dry brush that I'm using, just with a tiny amount of paint on it. And it's sort of almost like the scumming process that I was doing with the acrylic painting, the first painting that I did. So just to get these very soft sort of tones again, and if you make a mistake too, it's easily fixed. So I just saw something today on Twitter about the wet markets in China. Absolutely horrific. Absolutely disgusting. Looking at animals being treated cruelly and killed in horrific ways. I can't watch it. I just saw it briefly as I was sort of scrolling through and finding the latest information on the coronavirus, and basically came across this story that I think it's Dan Wooten was doing, and just the images sort of were there. And unfortunately, I'm a type of person that when I see something really, really horrific, it sort of almost plants inside my brain, and I can't get rid of that image. So yes, so things like that really, really distress and upset me. I think that animal cruelty, cruelty to any living thing, just horrible, just disgusting. So, but yeah, just horrific. I mean, they seriously need to shut those markets down. I don't know where the coronavirus originated from. There's a whole lot of theories coming out. Was it a lab? Did it escape from the lab? Did it come from the markets? Who knows? I don't know whether we'll ever find out the truth. But yes, I just think that those markets all around the world need to be shut down. And animals, if they are going to be killed for human consumption, need to be killed in the most humane way. So just my thoughts. Want that to happen? So the reason why I decided to come back to school was basically because I was going to worry about my children at home, my students at home, and I thought really it's probably better that I actually was there. giving them a guide. So we're going to try and keep the social distancing. I've asked to use both art room 1 and 2 so that we can spread out and we can actually work without easels, without paintings, and yes, sort of self-isolate, and I will try and keep a good distance from the children while I'm explaining things to them. So I'm actually an asthmatic, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to go to school. I've suffered other health issues as well, which I won't go into, but yeah, so essentially I felt that, particularly when the coronavirus started, I actually took a couple of weeks off school and started doing some online teaching from there. And a lot of children were actually not coming to school at that stage, so the majority of students were away. And then we had our school holidays, and we're coming back from our school holidays next week. And seriously, I got a medical certificate covering all of second term. I've just discovered something. I've got the space here between the two arms too wide. That was supposed to be a lot closer. But at this stage, I'm not going to change it because it will mean too much alteration. And like I said, you know, every painting doesn't have to be absolutely correct to become, you know, an okay image. It's quite nice to sort of change things a little bit. So that's my story. So I've been at this particular school now for over 20 years. I have taught for over 30 years, so that puts me into an age category where I'll be retiring very soon. I would like to continue painting and teaching as long as I can, physically. I find the whole thing, working with students, particularly high school students, it can be challenging with the younger year groups. I love teaching upper school, which is year 11 and 12, 16 and 17 year olds, because the discipline tends to be less strenuous. But I do love my school. It's an interesting school. It's got a lot of different nationalities, and yeah, it's a beautiful place to work. Very happy there, and while I'm getting enough work to keep food on the table, I will continue working there. So I'm going to leave it there today, I think. I still need to do a couple more adjustments to it. This afternoon I had a little play before I started videoing. I wasn't intending to, I wasn't actually feeling all that flash today. Did I say that previously? And so I just came out here just to see how it was going and how it was drying, and I was pleasantly surprised that it's actually drying really, really well, so quite quickly. This weekend, my wonderful husband and my lovely stepson are going to install a skylight into the room. So the whole room will be flooded with sunlight, natural light, and I will not be relying on this rather mediocre, but, you know, quite beautiful looking lamp, the industrial look. You know, it's all about the looks, isn't it, really, when you're doing decorating. Anyway, so that is the painting so far. I'm just going to give a close-up of how it's going. Here we go. As you can see, it's pretty yeah, am I happy with it? Some parts I'm happy with, some parts I'm not happy with. It's, you know, the same old story. The hands are beginning to look less like rubber gloves. The shadow work's quite interesting, quite fun to do. As on the actual image, I'm going to be doing the makeup, the rather reptilian makeup over the top. So yes, this has turned out to be quite a fun project. I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint. See you later.